Hello, everyone. So I'm back again with the best explanation, at least I think, of anxiety that you will ever get. This is part two, where I'm talking about what happens when we realize we're in the anxiety state. We're completely baffled by it. When we get all these freaky, weird, crazy, or seemingly crazy symptoms, and what we do about it, where we go to seek help, and what we do with all these symptoms that just keeps this anxiety pressure cooker bubbling away over time. If you haven't already, please watch part one, where I talked about what anxiety is and how we arrive into the anxiety state after cumulative stress over our lifetime. So make sure you watch that. In part three, I'll be talking about how you recover from it once you understand what it is. And once you understand why, in this video, as I'm going to discuss, when we are baffled by it, what we do that keeps the anxiety state going, keeps our nervous system sensitized. So again, in session one, I talked about the cumulative effect of stress over your lifetime that puts you into this sensitized state. Now remember, the anxiety pressure cooker represents you. This is you. Inside the pressure cooker, so this is your body, inside the pressure cooker is water, which represents your nervous system that is exposed through your senses to the normal stresses of life. Often normal stresses, often they might be more extreme stresses, trauma. Everyone's different, but it doesn't matter who you are, where you live, what your lifestyle, culture, family upbringing was. If you're in the anxiety state, as I mentioned in session one, in video one, I should say, cumulative stress, so the flames of life that you've been exposed to when I was standing at my stovetop, putting it on the burner, putting the anxiety pressure cooker on the burner, you're exposed to these stresses. And there hasn't been enough releasing of the pressure by taking the lid off over time. Hasn't been enough moving your body and yourself out of these stressful situations to recover. There hasn't been an understanding, perhaps, that you've been putting yourself into these situations, particularly when we're young and we have no choice. We don't know any better. We just keep exposing ourselves to these situations because we have no choice, or we don't understand what is happening when we're doing it. So that's what is happening with the anxiety pressure cooker. We're experiencing this sustained stress over a period of lifetime with no skills or ability to remove the lid, release the pressure over time. So the pressure keeps building into one day. And that's what this video is all about. It starts to boil over. This pressure that was building and hasn't been released at all or enough to cope with the pressure to release it. We've been on the flames of life, the stress flames of life for a period of time. And so we suddenly, seemingly, out of the blue, arrive in the anxiety state. In my case, I experienced for the first time, or at least I thought, a surge of panic, this surge of adrenaline, energy in my body that made me very fearful because my flight or fight was active. When I was at work, it started to all bubble over. It started to all come out in the form of panic. And I was shocked by it. I had no idea what was going on. I was baffled by the situation because I thought I had no idea of any of this. I thought I was calm. I didn't realize my nervous system was under pressure because it happened gradually. The water started to boil very gradually. I was warming up little by little over time, getting more and more stressed, but had no awareness of it. So when it finally crosses the threshold, so when the water hits boiling point, it hits 100 degrees Celsius and it starts to bubble over, we're shocked because we see all the bubbling up, all the symptoms, all the really unpleasant physical symptoms, the really unpleasant thoughts, the heart racing, the dizziness, the blurred vision, the feelings of dread and fear, this feeling sick in the stomach, needing to go to the toilet because you're so fearful, this activation of the flight or fight when there is no danger. Your body's screaming at you through these symptoms that there's some sort of danger and you have no idea what is going on because you're oblivious to this whole process. Seemingly one day you're fine because we can cope with stress. Human beings, we're good. We've been good at holding the lid firmly down, pushing it back on, turning the lock device on, holding it down, So when the stresses tried to come out, perhaps at different parts of our life, maybe it did appear briefly. The lid came off briefly, and some symptoms came up, and we didn't know what they were. We managed to force them back down. Maybe we got out of the situation that caused us to cross the threshold. Maybe it was work. Maybe it was a relationship, and we thought, oh, okay, well, it's gone for now, and it simmered down a bit, but it didn't deal with the sensitization. The pressure was still there, and inevitably the pressure builds back up. And because we haven't dealt with it, we feel like the water's completely cool, but the reality is it's just tempered a little bit, and it's still almost simmering away, and we haven't realized it until, again, it comes back up, crosses the threshold, and it's back, or that first time it bubbles over, and we've got no idea of what is going on, because again, it was a slow burn. It became our new normal, and we weren't aware of it. And now it's really unpleasant because you've, over the years, developed these coping mechanisms to suppress it. Maybe you take medication, maybe booze helps a bit. Maybe we avoid certain situations and that manages to contain it. But at some point the pressure builds and we sort of know that we're a bit scared of this thing. We avoid it. And so suddenly it pushes the lid off, it comes up, we manage to put the lid back on, whatever it may be. And that's the process. But that's when we start to get confused by the whole situation, because again, we don't know that this is happening. So that first time it comes up, we suddenly realize it's anxiety. Perhaps we go to see the GP, we see the psychologist, we Google, and we may get some sense that this is anxiety. But the symptoms are really harsh and unpleasant. And so that's where the symptom first focus starts. No one gives you this explanation. No one tells you this is a logical and predictable outcome of cumulative stress over your lifetime that's built and built and built until you form the anxiety habit. This survival skill of suppression, repression, running away from symptoms, forcing them down as a coping mechanism has now formed the anxiety habit and put your nervous system under pressure, so it's tired. So your flight or fight is overreactive. No one ever tells you that, which explains why you can't get your fears in check, which explains why you're ruminating. It explains the dread and severe fear, the intrusive thoughts, the obsessive thinking, the rumination, the what-ifs. It explains all that, but no one ever tells you because, again, you're baffled by it. And many people who try to help with good intentions don't really understand it themselves, including GPs. A lot of my clients are psychologists. A lot of my clients are doctors, including psychiatrists. We get the explanation that there's something wrong with your brain because obviously it manifests in fear and thoughts, and people think that's a neck-up issue. So we might get put on medication. We're told to reframe our thinking, change our thoughts, replace negative thoughts with positive thoughts. It's just anxiety. Just get your thinking straight and you'll be fine. Why are you thinking so negatively? Let's expose ourselves gradually over time to the fears. But it doesn't deal with the boiling pressure cooker of tension on your nervous system and the physical reactions that are coming from your nervous system throughout your whole body that are causing you to think negatively, to worry obsessively, to be very fearful. It's the physical reactions, the release of adrenaline because of all this, because your nervous system's tied to everyday thoughts, that's tricking you into worrying about all the stuff that goes on in your mind, and that's why it's a bluff. If you haven't watched my Anxiety Cure Fit video series to understand more about why this is highly unpleasant but not serious, make sure you do that too. So we're never told any of that. We're never told that, yes, this is unpleasant, the suffering's real, the fear feels real, but it's all a bluff. It's simply your tired nervous system overreacting for all these reasons, bubbling up. It feels scary, but it's not serious. If we had that explanation, more people would be able to get on the front foot a lot quicker and start the process of recovery. But most people who have never been through it simply don't understand it. They understand that it's a problem with thinking, but they think it's a wiring issue or there's some sort of brain dysfunction or the chemicals must be out of balance. Or in actual fact, it makes sense that the body's reacting to the thoughts. Nothing wrong with the mind, nothing wrong with the thoughts. It's this body's extreme reaction to them because of this tired flight or fight response that's tricking you into start to worrying about these things that you wouldn't normally, and sending up these highly unpleasant symptoms that are normal if we're facing a physical threat, normal if a tiger's about to eat us that we don't notice. But when they happen when we're at home, when we're on the couch, when we're in bed, they start to feel very odd, freaky, and weird. And that's why people think that they're going crazy, even when this is all completely explainable because of the slow build up of this pressure on the nervous system over time that spills over, which is obviously a highly unpleasant experience. All this energy starts to rush out that's been suppressed, and whilst it's actually a good thing that's coming up, we think it's bad and we try and do everything we can to clamp down, suppress, avoid, get rid of, distract ourselves from it. Frantically exercise, avoid, etc. So that's all it is. That's why this thing, while highly unpleasant, is not serious. And the good news is there's much that we can do to start to reverse the process, to calm the nervous system down and ultimately recover from it. And that's what I'll be talking about in video 3. I hope that helped. If you've got any questions, let me know. And I'm sure I'll see you again soon. Take care.